So first I'm going to start off with my intro. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. I know, I'm sorry. If you're new, my name is TV. And if you're a true crime lover like me, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone that loves ASMR and also true crime content. So I am so excited to be back. I know it's been a very long time, like 10 months at this point. And I'm not even gonna lie, last year when I did the 25 days of Christmas, which sounds so crazy, last year, my videos kept getting flagged, and so I just kind of gave up. I'm not even gonna lie, but to receive the beautiful comments that you all were commenting, telling me how much you miss me and stuff like that, made my heart so warm. And I didn't even know you guys looked forward to my content as much as you guys did. So thank you for that. And also, I have very exciting news. I had a whole baby all. Alright, this is baby number 3 and the last baby because I got my tubes tied. I had a beautiful baby boy, a beautiful healthy baby boy on October 6th, and today is October 29th that I'm recording this video, and I'm currently breastfeeding him, so I am so sorry if you hear him sucking and slurping this breast milk. So I am so happy to be back, and I was thinking that I might just make this like a faceless reading a true crime stories channel. I don't know if I want to do crime cases. I don't know. I'm not sure because YouTube is so freaking sensitive with certain words that you can and cannot say. Nevertheless, I am so excited to be back, and I'm so happy that you guys missed me and you guys were looking forward to my videos, and I'll never neglect you guys ever again. So I was trying to figure out how to come back with a video, and I was like, how about I just come back with another video on Halloween? So here I am. So let's get into today's video. Sit back, relax, grab a snack, and enjoy some crime time. It was July 13th, 1970, and Highway Patrol Officer Randy Newton was on patrol in Big Sur, California. He was driving the Pacific Coast Highway when he received a call from dispatch that 2 men were involved in a traffic accident and fled the scene. He was advised the 2 men had taken off on foot in his area. Newton exited the main highway and took a dirt road where the 2 men were last seen. After a brief drive, he spotted 2 men in the distance. One of the men was approximately 6 feet in height, shoulder length, blonde hair, a beard, and powerfully built. He was wearing an army fatigue jacket and jeans. His companion had long dark hair, a beard, wearing a green army filled jacket, jeans, and cowboy boots. Randy pulled up to the men and exited his patrol car. The blonde-haired man was 22-year-old Stanley Dean Baker, and his companion was 20-year-old Harry Allen Stroop. In some stories, the name has also been spelled as Harry Allen Stroop. Allen spelled A-L-L-E-N. Both men were upfront with Randy and admitted to being involved in the traffic accident. This routine stop would take a turn when Stanley made a bizarre statement. He stated, quote, "I have a problem. I am a cannibal," end quote. At first, Randy did not take him seriously until Stanley pulled 2 human finger bones out of his pocket. Stanley Boy Scout while growing up in Sheridan, never got in trouble with the law. Harry did socialize with drug users but never actually got into trouble with the law. Stanley did start to get involved with drugs after he was dismissed from the Navy for misconduct. He got involved with a satanic cult known as 4-Pi Movement, a cult rumored to have committed murders for ritualistic purposes. In June of 1970, Stanley and Harry left Sheridan to hitchhike toward the western coast. The following events are based on Stanley's account of the murder. When they reached Montana, the two men split up. Stanley wanted to continue going while Harry wanted to find a place to rest. They decided that Baker would explore the area and come back to meet up with Harry later. As Stanley walked along the side of the freeway, he could see dark clouds gather on the horizon of the Montana sky. So I'm gonna pause right here and I have a quick question. Where you guys are from, do you guys call it the highway or the freeway? Because where I'm from, we call it the highway. And I know some people, depending on what area they're from, call it the freeway. So comment down below, what do you call it, the highway or the freeway? Having lived all his life in Sheridan, thumbing his way across the country gave him a sense of freedom. In his pocket, Stanley had a piece of paper on which he had written down the ingredients to make LSD. He and Harry had taken LSD before reaching Montana and were hoping to manufacture it when they reached California. The hippie culture was growing there, and they knew they could make easy money. He also had a copy of the Satanic Bible. He was recruited to the 4-Pi Movement while living in Wyoming and was a follower of the cult's leader, Grand Chicken. As he walked along the side of the freeway in 1969, Opel Cadet slowed down for him. I have never seen that car in my life, so I'm gonna put a picture up if I can find it. The driver of the car was 22-year-old James Schulzer. James was a social worker at the Muscle County Welfare Office. He was a large man, over 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, with big frame glasses and style of dress that gave him a nerdish appearance, a sharp contrast to Baker's scruffy and unkempt look. James believed in helping others and offered Stanley a ride. As the two men took off, James mentioned to Stanley that he was headed for Yellowstone Park. An avid fisherman, he wanted to camp out for the night and get some fishing in. Stanley asked if he could join him, and James agreed. The two men found a camping site close to the river. It was getting late, so their plans for fishing would have to wait until the next day. That night, both men slept on the ground. Because of the warm temperature, they did not pitch a tent. The warm temperature, the thunder and lightning of a distant storm, the seclusion and LSD he had taken earlier woke Stanley's dark side. Stanley reached for the .22 caliber pistol he kept on him. While James was sleeping, Stanley shot him in the head. For no reason, y'all. No apparent reason. All because he took LSD and he just wanted to do it. A savage cut us open like a Y incision across our chest and down our abdomen. And that's how they take our organs out. So for him to know that is like kinda weird. Stanley proceeded to consume James's heart, his heart, under the stars. After consuming the heart, Stanley's face was stained with blood and his beard was matted with it. He stared at James's body. Grabbing his knife again, he dismembered James's corpse. He removed the head, arms, and legs, which he cut off at the knees. Stanley tossed the torso in the river and discarded the other body parts throughout the park. When he finished disposing of the body parts, washed himself off in the river. Though he tried to get the blood out of his clothing, the stains remained. Returning to the campsite, he drove off in James's car. As Stanley drove away from the park, he saw Harry hitchhiking. He picked him up and they headed for California. On Saturday, July 11th, a man was fishing on the Yellowstone River. He felt his line snag on something heavy. He managed to reel his line in, where he made a shocking discovery. He had reeled in a human torso. The fisherman drove to the nearest telephone and called the ranger station at the park's entrance. Deputy Bigelow answered the call and was advised of the situation. Deputies arrived at the site where the torso was discovered. They waded into the river and poured the water-lodged torso out onto the banks. They searched the river and surrounding area, but were unable to locate any other body parts. They also faced another challenge. The Yellowstone River crosses several states, so they cannot determine where the torso was originally dumped. While investigators continued to search for evidence, the torso was sent to the morgue. On Monday, the Livingston Sheriff's Department received a teletype. I don't know what that is. I'll have to look that up. Regarding a missing persons report. The subject of that report was James Scholzer. Or Scholzer. I have no idea. James S. The description provided in the report closely resembled that of the torso. Results of a DNA test confirmed the sheriff's suspicion. Stanley and Harry reached Monterey County, California, driving James's Opel Kadett. They were approaching Big Sur. Was caught off guard when he saw a pickup truck coming right at him. The collision between the two vehicles resulted in the Opel taking on major damage. However, the pickup truck received only a dented bumper. The driver of the pickup truck approached Stanley and Harry to make sure they were okay and to exchange information. Stanley told the driver he did not have a driver's license. The other driver asked the two men to get into his truck, to which they agreed. They drove to the nearest phone to call the police so an accident report could be completed. The driver and his two passengers drove to a service station in the town of Lucia. As soon as the driver parked his truck, Stanley and Harry bailed out of the car and took off running toward a wooded area. The driver called the California Highway Patrol to report the incident. It was Officer Newton who answered the call. Officer Newton caught up with Stanley and Harry, who admitted to causing the traffic accident. Given the lack of any identification, Officer Newton arrested both men after reinforcements arrived. While driving back to the police station, Harry and Stanley freely conversed with the officer, sharing that they were from Sheridan, Wyoming, and had hitchhiked across the country Stanley was sent to Warm Springs State Hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. Unlike Stanley, who was an open book about the murder, Harry remained silent and proclaimed his innocence. Prosecutors were getting frustrated because they had no evidence directly linking him to the murder. Stanley was found competent to stand trial and tried separately from Harry. During his trial, Stanley conducted himself in a manner that was anything but typical for a defendant. He continued to brag that he was the mastermind of the murder, and Harry played no part in it. He made claims that he was Jesus, and used mind control to make rock legend Jimi Hendrix overdose on drugs. At one point, he told the presiding judge to, quote, "go fuck yourself," end quote. When the judge reprimanded him, he responded, quote, "what are you going to do? I am already sentenced to life in prison," end quote. October 20th, the jury found Stanley guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced him to life in prison, which an additional 10 days for his remarks to the judge. Thanksgiving Day was when Harry was found guilty of manslaughter, as there was enough evidence to demonstrate he was somehow involved. The jury was convinced that Harry had played a role in James's death. They did not believe that Stanley could not have butchered James alone, given James's size. Park rangers also testified they saw Stanley, Harry, and James in the Opel Kadett when they arrived at Yellowstone Park. Further, the vehicle's odometer indicated that Stanley did not make any extra trips to pick up Harry. Stanley also confessed to an unsolved murder in San Francisco. On April 20th, 1970, the body of 40-year-old Robert Salem was discovered. Robert Salem was stabbed 27 times, including a deep cut in his neck, where the killer had attempted to decapitate him. Additionally, his left ear was missing. The killer had used Robert's blood to write the words Zodiac and Satan Saves on the walls of the home. Investigators were unable to locate proof to tie Stanley to his murder. Stanley was out by Christmas of 1986 after 16 years. He died in 1994 from cancer. Because of the short time spent in prison, Montana changed their minimum of years served, and prisoners could not apply